Hello everyone, welcome back. So this is the second part of the series where I'm showing the whole game art pipeline, Maya Substance Painter to Unreal Engine. This one is covering some basic UVs. I'm not going to do a whole half an hour video explaining every single thing about UVs. It would just be more of like a quick video on it. I will do a more in-depth UV explanation video at another point. So if that is done, I'll link that so it'll pop up here. But otherwise, this is just it for now. So firstly, what we're going to do is I'm just going to group these in the can that we made from last. Actually, I'll combine them, and then I'm going to delete the history, which is this one. So combine this one, delete history, this one. Just makes it into one mesh. I'm just going to call it can. Just be a little bit neater. So a really quick explanation for UVs. I have here this picture of a cube. So how this works is you have to see UVs as almost like origami. You know, you're literally as if you had a piece of paper that you had to fold into the shape of your mesh. This is how we do it. So we're unwrapping the mesh so we have coordinates to texture on. So how we're going to do that for this can is we need to make sure that we can use a texture later on so we can get this exact Coca-Cola texture onto the can. So we're going to UV in a very specific way. So to get the UV editor up, you can either go here, it says UV, and go UV editor, and it will pop up with another window like this. Or I prefer, where it says workspace up here, to go UV editing. Now this splits your screen in half. You can move these to the side, and it makes life a bit easier to see what you're looking at. So you'll see here on the right, it comes up with the UV toolkit. You might be on attribute editor, but you can just click along to UV toolkit, and these are how your UVs start. This does not work at all. So one way to help you see how your UVs are going to look is by pressing this checkerboard box. Now you want your UVs to be looking like this, all uniform squares. This means that there'll be no stretching in the texture and you won't have any problems coming to texturing. This stuff like this clearly isn't going to work. This isn't what we're looking for. So to start off UVing, I always select my object. This is preference. There's many different ways you can do it, but I go to create, camera based. And now if I just turn this off so we can see, this just makes it a little bit easier to know what you're looking at. This isn't at UVs at all because there's lots of stretching going on, but this is just so in this view it's a bit easier for me to see what I'm looking at. Now I'm going to press space in this view because what we're going to try and do is cut the UVs at the bottom of the logo here and at the top here by the rim. So I can press space, we'll get this side view up as always. We'll go to shading and X-ray like we did before, although it's not as easy as that. There we go. And I'm going to want to put a cut, see we've a little bit out of shape here, which is a good thing we saw. So I'm just going to bring these down a little bit, ever so slightly. There we go. So same thing here. Let's just bring these down a little bit. There we go, about there. Not going to be perfect, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to grab this edge around the bottom of the lip here. Can zoom in, pressing F to make to focus the camera on it. So you can see, so this is the edge right underneath the lip. So I'm going to shift double click, so have all of that edge selected, and then go right down to the bottom and I'm going to shift double click, click once, shift double click there we go. So I was holding shift the whole time. So now we have all of this selected and all of this edge selected, and we're going to cut this out. So there's different ways you can go here, cut, or shift right click and then cut is here. So now we have a separate UV shell and we want to unfold this. So in order to unfold this, we need to put a cut down one of the sides. So I'm just going to pick any old side, this one, double clicked, so it's selected the whole edge. There you go. And hold shift right click, cut this again. So now if I press unfold on this, you'll see it's pretty close to being something we can work with, but it's got these rounded off edges because the topology here is different to here. So it's a little bit pinched in. This isn't going to be good because when we try and apply a texture from Google, a Coca-Cola texture, it's going to be cutting off a bit on the edge because it's going to be a square here. So what we're going to try and do is just straighten these UVs. So firstly, I'm going to click on the edge select and double click on this edge maybe. And I'm going to scroll down in unfold to where it says straighten shell. So if I press this, you can see it's already started to straighten things out a little bit. And what I'm then going to do is go to shell select. All of these can be done just by holding right click, the same as in your viewport. So UV shell. And then I'm going to press straighten UVs. And there we go, nice straight UVs. A nice straight checker box, and now when we apply our texture onto there, it will look great. So this piece is now done. I'm just going to move this along for 1 second, and we'll come back to these pieces. So I'm going to try and just unfold this piece, see how it works out. Now we can see it's not too bad. Sometimes we can get away with this. Looks to me like this will be one of those times. If I shift and left click on this checker box, we can see the size. We can turn the checkbox size up a bit. Sometimes you have to turn it off and on. There we go. We can see there isn't really any stretching, so this will work fine. So that's the bottom part done. I'm going to turn this back down to 64. There we go. So that's an easy piece done. This piece is also done. And now we just have the top of the... I'm just pressing F to focus on things. We have the top of the can, the bit that opens it, and then the top of the can itself. So I have a feeling, and the rim as well actually. So let's try and do the rim first. I'm going to do a similar thing that I did here. I'm going to cut an edge. I'll find the same edge that I cut last time, this one here. Cut. And then we'll unfold and see how this looks. I think it looks, let's scale up. Yeah, it looks okay. Checkers are fine. Scale this back down and I'll just use layout, orient the shell. There we go, nice straight line. Put this up here. There you go, trying to keep the UVs neat. So we have our last two pieces. This piece, I think we'll probably just be able to unfold it. Yep, that unfolded nicely. And this cap. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier, but it shouldn't be a big problem. It's just going to require a few cuts. So I'm going to have it selected in my UV editor here, and I'm going to press Control 1 on this window so that we isolate it, just the same way we did in the first episode. And I'm going to place some cuts, so I'm going to separate the top faces and the bottom faces from the side faces. So we'll have a UV of the top here, like this, a UV of the bottom, and then all of the side bits. So it's fairly simple. I'm going to select, double click this edge, shift double click this edge, so that's the top, that's the bottom. I'll do that on the inside bits as well. Shift double click, shift double click, there and there. So now if I cut these, I'm going to have multiple UVs here. There we go. So the bottom part and the top part, if I select these and just press unfold, oh, we have some issues. That's fine. There might be some topology issues, or it could just be the UVs having problems. But what we can do instead is we can just camera base. There we go. Nice UVs. Minimal stretching. But it's very small, so we won't need to worry about that. Do the same for this piece here. Camera base. Pull this all the way down. And then we're just going to cut these edges once each, so we can unfold this. Cut. And unfold. There we go. Orient these shells so they're all the same, facing the same direction. And that's that top piece done. So this whole can is now UV'd. The last step will just be to make sure all of these squares are all the same size across everything. So the way we do that is go to transform, scroll down to where it says textile density. We press get on one thing, so the textile density is 50.5. We select everything else and press set. And now we have everything at the correct uniform textile density. And then we're just going to lay these out neatly. We're going to scale them all up a tiny bit. Because I'm scaling them all at the same time, the textile density stays the same, just because I don't want to waste any of the UV space. So if we put this one here, we can have both these on the side here, next to the inside parts, and then the bottom, if we can squeeze this in, yep, here, and this part here. And there we go. Got some great neat UVs, perfect for texturing. So the next video will go on to exporting this into Substance Painter and then the texturing process. So thank you for that. I'll catch you next one.